Well, hello there. This is Jerry3904 from the MX Linux forum. It's been quite a while since I last did a video for this series, but I want to take a look with you quickly at what's new in MX-25 Fluxbox, because the beta is right around the corner. There is the default desktop in the right corner there, and you'll see the dock on the left side and the icon up in the upper left corner that we're going to talk about in a minute. But first I wanted to do three quick critical things for everyone to remember. The first is, how do you get help? And if you look at that dock, there's two icons. One of the blue question marks says Fluxbox Help, and the second one is the video sign, Fluxbox Videos. And if you click on the first, you'll see the MX-25 Fluxbox manual. It's not long, but it's critical if you want to try to understand. It's been completely rewritten from the Fluxbox 23 version. And if you click on the videos, you'll see the entire series. This is now 5 years ago I did the first one. And there's all sorts of topics in there that you can figure out the main power tools, all sorts of things that we cover in there. So that's critical number one. Critical number two, software. MX Fluxbox does not provide the same large quantity of software by default as the other two MX Linux versions do. And that's on purpose, as we want to leave as much room for the user to make the final choices. But on the upper left-hand corner of the desktop, there's an icon labeled, not surprisingly, software. And if you click that icon, you will see the MX package installer, a simple, very effective, very well done way to cover your basic needs, especially when you don't really know yet. You're at the beginning and you don't really know yet what you want or what you're doing. And number three, tools. The panel at the bottom of the main screen on the left side has a gear icon, and that's for tools. There's two great sets in MX Fluxbox, or MX Linux. One is the MX Tools, and the other is the MX Fluxbox Tools. And so if I right-click it, you will get the MX Tools. It's a really pretty famous set of tools that have been developed over the last 10 years of MX Linux existence. And if you left-click it, you'll see the MX Fluxbox tools that are very handy, do all sorts of things for you. Especially, by the way, notice the Tint2 Manager, which is the way you deal with the panel. All right, that's it. Thanks. We'll start now with what's new in MX-25 Fluxbox. Okay, so this is the default desktop. We're looking at it's the way it would show after you'd first installed it, or if you brought it up and running live. In the center is the welcome. It's a good thing to read through. The about is also handy, can tell you interesting things about the machine you're running it on. Okay, so I will just get that out of my face. So I'm going to, there's a lot, the first of all things that are new is that there are many applications that have been upgraded that we can't look at, but it's really some terrific application upgrades, and we'll see a couple, but those I'm not going to show you. I'm going to focus on the MX Fluxbox changes themselves. And I'm going to follow the road with my cursor. Follow the road till I get to the end of the road, and I figure there must be something there. So this is the end of the road. This is sort of the beginning of the adventure. So I will right-click there to see the root menu, and then raise it up higher so I can see it better. So this is the root menu. It's been quite a bit worked on. All apps, for instance, this is a Debian type active menu. As to say, if we install or remove an application, that menu will change. That's not true of the main root menu, which is a static menu, and only the user can change that. All apps has gained a search function, which is the same ROFI, R-O-F-I, ROFI, that we use if you hit the logo key, or the Windows key, or the Mac key, or whatever you call it. So that's a nice addition. We've organized the interior so you can find the tools more easily. And the updates are automatic by default, but some people prefer not to have them always updating, and you can do it manually if you want by clicking that to disable. So that's the top section. The middle section, these are very common applications and functions. So the web browser, obviously, file manager, help, that's MX Fluxbox help. The multimedia, we now have moved the music player, the default music player Deadbeef over here, as well as the XKCD webcomic that highly amuses me still. In other, it's kind of interesting. Here's where the recent files are. This is a very handy thing now and then. And when you first look at it, you won't find anything because it hasn't been run. But if as soon as you click update, it will then show you what files, I think the last 30 or so. Screen capture is there, and an ASCII weather. That's nice. The run box is the same as it always was. This nice run box up there that you can use, works well. The MX Fluxbox tools we talked about, and the terminal. So that's the middle section, the handy section. Okay, now turning to the bottom section, this is kind of where the heavy lifting goes on with appearance and settings. Appearance begins with something that is totally changed, which is Conky. That's the Conky up in the right-hand corner. It's a desktop information display, and MX, you may know, comes with a collection of something like 50 or 60. There's some new ones in there with this edition. What has changed, if I click that, is that MX Conky, the application, let me get the menu out of here, MX Conky has been completely rewritten. And so it takes over the functions that originally Conky Manager did, and they're all incorporated here. It's laid out very well. You'll get used to it. We're going to have a dedicated video on it at some point. I will point out that these help buttons, this one has, if I click that, the help file is in the wiki, and you'll see that this is a complete guide to how to deal with MX Conky, and to deal with color change and everything else. And that's a nice way to get into it if you believe in reading help files, which I highly recommend. So that was Conky, which is totally brand new. Doc's still the same as before. Doc Maker, which is one of our original power tools, is still working very well, and it allows you to do all sorts of things with the dock over there, and add and supply and create a new one, etc. Desktop icons, that's also one of the original worker applications that handles all these desktop icons. We put a huge amount of work into that. So there's a whole dedicated video on these, so I'm not going to go into it today. There is a new application on fonts. This is nice because these top 3 fonts are for the Fluxbox fonts. They govern, as you can see, a Windows and the menu, and so you can change the size of those, and for that matter, the font itself. The fourth one is the general GTK font that is used throughout the desktop, and you can see that I've already raised the size of that so that it's a little more visible in this video, because the default is 11. I've raised the size, so this is pretty nice. You can adjust it to your own needs and wishes. That's the font. Appearance font. monitors hasn't changed. I run the monitors a lot. We'll take a look at it for just a second. There it is in the upper left-hand corner. It's a stack of measuring items going on. It's a stack, and it's really extremely nice. I use it a lot. I'm going to get this one out of here by going to out of sight and say toggle the monitors. There we go. Okay, let's move to keep going with what we're doing. Let's take a look at theme, where quite a bit has been done, and it's important because you use it a lot. Over here on the upper left-hand side, you'll see the new themes that are involved here. The one I'm using right here is MX-Ease. It's a new theme, and I'm also using that in the window manager over here, which affects the window and the root menu as well. So you'll see there's MX Dark. These in this window over here, these are this is typically where you see Fluxbox styles, but these are themes that we've developed for window management ourselves, with a couple extra taken off the web that weren't in the default pack that's been around for 20-25 years. If you want to see those traditional styles of Fluxbox, you just have to click this box, and now they'll show up inside this box. You'll see lemon space and all sorts of things that you wouldn't otherwise see. So they're still available, which is pretty nice. Notice, by the way, I have down here under the cursor, I've selected white, and I've raised the size up above the default, which is about 16, to 40. I just tapped it up by mistake. There we go, so that you can see more clearly what I'm doing with the cursor out there. All right, let's take a look now at what's new in settings. Before I do that, I want to clear off the desktop. It's a little bit crowded for what I'm about to do. So I'm going to use out of sight. I'm going to kill the icons. And I'm going to kill the conky. And I'm going to kill the dock. There we go. That's a lot easier. So here we go. Let's take a look at settings. What's new in the settings? We actually did a lot of work here, although it won't show up so much. The first thing that I'm interested in is, although we still use GRSync, the same application for backup, it is one of those applications that's had a great upgrade for Debian 13 Trixie for MX-25. So you'll see it right away when I plop it up. The whole interface has been redone. It's much easier to read. It's something you can figure out much more easily, and I really think it's gonna make a big difference to us in our work. So that's GRSync we use for backup. There's other applications. Under settings, the config files. These are the Fluxbox files that govern most of Fluxbox activity, and it includes, except for Tint2 panel, which is the panel manager we'll look at in a minute. And there's this quick config at the top, which is a Fluxbox native item. It's particularly handy if you're trying to deal with the toolbar, because you can do things there that are a lot simpler than trying to do them in the file itself. So go back to settings, config files. We did quite interesting stuff in init. Init is the file that contains all the parameters that govern the visual aspects of a Fluxbox session when we're logged in, and it normally looks pretty. It's just a whole bunch of lines without much order. It may not know if it'll show up that way. No, what it shows up now in the MX form that we've done, which is to categorize it into areas and to provide a configuration file. It'll give you some clue of how to change things, which is pretty nice. Otherwise, you have no idea what values are available. Notice, by the way, down here, this whole set of lines all about toolbar, they belong to the new MX toolbar that I'm about to show you when we get there. So going back to settings, display hasn't changed. It's the way we've always had it. Keyboard is saying, again, you can decide what languages you want to be able to quickly jump over into. So under toolbars, we have two entries. The first one is the Tint 2 panel, what is default in MX-23 and 25. And the other is the traditional Fluxbox toolbar, the actual toolbar. And when we use the word toolbar, we refer to the Fluxbox bar. Normally, it's a traditional setup, but we decided for MX-25 that we wanted to set up to create our own model for it, bring it up and update it a little bit, and orient it the way we like. So I'm going to show you what it looks like now. I'm going to click on this. It's going to get rid of Tint 2 and then show us at the top. It shows us the Fluxbox toolbar. By the way, I mentioned that one file, let me just show you that. That's kind of neat. Config files. Here's the quick config, and under toolbar you can change the width of it just by dropping that down. I like to run mine at around 70%. You can also change the clock if you want to right there. So what's new about this is that we're making use of buttons. So these buttons actually launch applications. This launches App Finder, our native MX Fluxbox. This is tools, MX Fluxbox tools. Obviously the file manager and the browser, and also there's another one over here, exit options, which shows us these buttons, which is nice. But we also added right click options, which is nice, so that if I right click this exit options, you see the settings for exit options, the icons and the other settings that do just by a right click there, which is nice that we can do that now. Likewise with tools, if I right click this, you don't get MX Fluxbox tools, but MX tools, but it gives you a right click option. And then finally, of course, this was their App Finder. If you right click that, you get the App Finder settings that control that thing we just saw. So those are really nice features. All right, let's switch back to Tint 2. There it is. Bingo, bingo. And there it is at the bottom. This we've had the last couple of years, so this is not totally surprising. We added right clicks here, so that here on this gear tool icon, that will also give you MX tools if you right click it. App Finder, so a little bit here. But this is mostly what you wanted. Okay, while we're here, I want to take a look at 3 of these applications because I mentioned that there were significant changes that I couldn't show everything. One is Look, MX Fluxbox's Look application, which we've had before, but it's been completely rewritten for MX-25 so that now instead of just a list, you get an actual visual representation. It's a very nice upgrade. It makes it very handy to try to see and save a given look. The second one is shortcuts. We had this in late MX-23, but I never did a video on it, and I don't know if people know it exists. These are the default shortcuts, what are located in the keys file in those config files. And this is a very convenient way to see what the standard way is to learn to see what to turn on or how to change things. So general, and then there's some programs that we have, and then Windows, moving windows and all this thing, and then the basic tiling. So it's pretty handy. You can go right out of this and edit the keys file, but it won't pick up changes. It's just the default. And finally, I mentioned that we had these new styles, these new themes, particularly for MX Fluxbox. And not only that, but then the developer user Melber, developed also an editor for those styles. And so that's very nice. Look at this. So these are the new styles that are not that we've developed in-house, and you can click on one of these. Say I showed you MXE's dark. You can click on that and say OK, and now you get to change all sorts of parameters regarding that style and create a new style out of it. Again, very handy and a nice thing. Good examples of some of the major changes in MX-25.